Such an unprecedented move just took place, with Mouz benching their IGL, their captain, Siuhy, and have picked up Spinx to replace him, and Brolan is now taking over the leadership roles. I'm Astronaut CS, let's talk about it. This move has come completely out of nowhere. There was a potential rumour last month of Spinx replacing Brolan, which role for role would have potentially made quite a bit of sense, but now that they've dropped their IGL, this has become a bit more confusing, and making this move now rather than before the season started is a confusing one for sure. If it was happening during the off-season, you could maybe think that this has a bit more potential, as Brolin would have a bit more time to adjust to the IGL role, and they would be able to rebuild fully without Siuhy and have Brolin a bit more comfortable. I feel that for this move to have taken place now, there's clearly something that has gone completely wrong within the team since the restart. There must have been a big falling out with Siuhy and Cyclone, you'd think, whether it's clashing in ideologies or with how the team should look to move forward. Siuhy in his tweet stated that it was due to the former, but at the end of the day this is just a PR statement, so conclusions can't always be fully drawn, and it's impossible to know what's actually taken place to be making this move after they've only played one official in 2025. Siuhy is also considered by a lot of people as a top tier IGL, so whatever the clash is has clearly affected this roster immensely. Plus, he's a young leader and is still growing, so you'd think that they would have put their stock into keeping him to nurture him into an undeniably strong IGL. Especially when you pair him with one of the best anchors and upcoming riflers and talents in the world, Jimfat. This was a team that before the break many people believed was going to get picked apart, with Jimmy to Falcons being the most expected of the moves on the outside, and with a semi-final exit at the major, it seemed that this roster had gone as far as it could, and there seemed to be a clear choking problem on the stage that was overshadowing this roster for a long while. None of the potential roster moves took place though unexpectedly, and with their first match being a poor performance against the new Bet Boom lineup, it seemed that their slow and gradual downfall towards the end of 2024 was still continuing into the new year. Whether Mouz feels that a big part of the choking on stage and their decline recently was due to Siuhy, we're unable to know, but it'd be interesting to see how this roster now approaches the game, how they do on stage, and see if they manage to sort any of their issues. I mentioned earlier that Spinx replacing Brolan would make more sense on paper, as they both have a lot of the same roles and spots, so it would have been a like for like move on paper, but now that Brolan is the one taking over the IGL role, this means that in theory he'll move to the space taking roles that Siuhy held previously, as Spinx is the better of the two within their role clash. So not only will Brolan be learning to become an IGL and leading a team for the first time, he'll also be moving spots and roles for the side, so it'll be fascinating to see how he performs with the added pressure and responsibility for his side. Then, Spinx joining this roster is another interesting area to cover, as we know his capabilities and where his strengths and weaknesses are, but the reason it's interesting is due to the fact that we know previously on the Vitality roster he was on before that he was clashing with Apex, so when Brolan is new to the IGL spot, even if he is good at it, I do wonder whether Spinx and the way he sees the game could affect Brolan's attempt in leading this lineup. He would also feel that surely Jimfat could feel hard done by in some sense. He's just signed a new deal until 2027, but was this roster change on the cards before he signed, or did it come shortly after he had already signed? If it is the latter, this could be a big question now for Jimmy. Does this affect how he feels about this roster going forward, and does he now get frustrated with the timing of this roster change, not just due to him re-signing, but also timing of the season, as we're still only within the first tier 1 tournament of the year? And does that now make him upset that he didn't maybe go towards moving to Falcons? Let's look forward though. The Katowice roster lock was already in place before this roster move happened, and therefore Spinx will be unable to play for Mouz. Zelex from their academy roster will be standing in for the lineup, so surely this becomes another potential poor showing, and they'll continue their difficult start to the year. I do think though that this could be a good trial run for Brolan in this side, especially if they manage to win any game, and if they play in front of a crowd, this could aid them in trying to turn their poor form in front of a crowd around. You'd also think that considering they just dropped their only poll, that in front of the Polish crowd in Katowice, that they're going to be receiving a lot of potential abuse, or at least jeering from the crowd, so this could definitely work against their favour. Now though, this leaves a massive question for where Siuhy goes. Does he stay on the bench for a couple months, potentially until the end of the season, or do we see him get a move to another roster, maybe slotting into a team like G2 or Liquid, who from the outside both have IGL problems? Let me know what you think happens, and if you enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps me grow the channel and hopefully be able to make more videos like this. Thank you for watching.